Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to talk to you about my August TBR. I'm hoping to read a little bit more than what I read last month. There are 7 books here in total. I'm hoping to at least get through these, at least. I do have a few ideas of what I might be reading if I am able to finish these, but I want to just be realistic here. So this is what I realistically think I can get through this month. If I can get through more, awesome, but this is the basic goal. So yeah, let's get started. 5 of these are library books and 2 are books that I actually own. So the first book we have here is Thunderhead by Neil Shusterman, or is it Schusterman? I'm honestly not sure. This is the second book in the Arctic of Size series. I read Scythe for the first time in March. I unfortunately cannot give a rundown of what this book is about because it will definitely spoil what happened inside, but I'll give you a little bit of a rundown of what this world in general is about. It's set in a world where death has been conquered. Everyone is pretty much immortal. There's no such thing as an uncurable disease, plague, nothing like that. You can even actually jump from a 50-foot story building and be repaired. You won't die. So you can imagine in a world like this, there may be, the issue of a population problem. So to keep this at bay, there are these people in the world called scythes who kill people pretty much to keep the population down, but they call it a gleaning. We follow 2 teenagers who become scythe apprentices in the first book. And yeah, this pretty much continues their story. When I first got this series, thought that I was going to be reading all 3 books within a matter of a week or two. That did not end up happening. I liked Scythe. I'm not saying I didn't like it. There definitely were some things about it that I liked and didn't like, but overall I thought it was a good story, and I am excited to see where the rest of the series goes because I really have heard nothing but good things about these series for the most part, especially this book and The Toll, which is the book after this. So yeah, I definitely want to continue with the series. As I said, I read the first book in March, and while I pretty much remember everything that happened, like I think about certain details and I'm like, I really don't remember what the backstory was behind that. So I definitely want to get going on the series before I totally forget everything. So this is definitely a book that I want to get to this month. The next book we have here is Big Summer by Jennifer Weiner. As you could tell at one point, this was a Book of the Month pick. This video is not sponsored by Book of the Month by any means. My mom was a member of the Book of the Month Club for a little bit, so she passed this book on to me to read quite a while ago, actually, and I just haven't gotten to it, so I decided, obviously with it being summer, now would be a good time to read it. This book is about 2 women named Daphne and Drew who were friends in high school, but as they got older, kind of drifted apart. To Daphne's surprise, Drew asks her to be in her wedding. So Daphne agrees and she goes to her wedding. And then come the morning of the wedding, not only has this cute guy that she meets disappeared, but Drew, Daphne's friend, seems to have had something very bad happen to her. So Daphne has to figure out what happened and who did it. My mom actually went out and bought another book by this author a few months ago, and I really want to read that book as well, just because I read the summary and it sounded interesting. So I'm going to read this book first, and then if I, like her writing style, then I'll go back and read the book that my mom has. So that might be on my TBR next month. We'll see. But yeah, I'm excited for this one because obviously there seems to be a mystery aspect to it, but there also seems to be a little bit more than that to the story. Of course, I'm sure it's going to focus on the relationship between the 2 women. So we'll probably find out why the 2 drifted apart. So we'll see how that turns out. But yeah, I actually haven't heard a lot about this book or the author. So I'm really curious to see what I will think about it. And you guys are totally going to laugh at me, but so yeah, I've had this book for a while, as I mentioned, because my mom gave it to me to read, and I just hadn't looked at the cover all that much. I just, would like take glances at it, and I thought that this part right here was kind of just an abstract, like, splash of color on the title, and it was only a few months ago when I was looking through my bookshelves and recovered the book that I realized, Oh yeah, this is the outline of a woman. Shows where my brain is sometimes, I guess. So yeah, Big Summer, Jennifer Weiner. We will see how it goes. So as I mentioned, the rest of the books that I have on my must read for this month are all library books. So they have that kind of plastic covering on them. So I apologize in advance about the glare that is probably going to come up on my computer as usual. So I apologize in advance. The first book we have here is The Atlas Six by Olivia Blake. I found out about this book maybe in February, Marchish. I saw someone here on BookTube talking about it, and I thought that the premise sounded really interesting. And it was only after I started to do a little bit more research that I realized there was a lot of hype around this book. But even though there was a lot of hype around it, I still wanted to read it for myself though, because the concept does sound really interesting, even though I have not heard the best things about this book since. But as I said, I want to read it for myself. This book is about six people with special abilities who are trying to be recruited into this secret society called the Alexandrian Society. They each have their own special ability. There definitely seems to be a dark academia side to this, which I've always been really interested in. This is the Tor published version of the book. It's not the self-pub version. This is the only one they had at my library, but it does really have some nice end papers. I really, really like that. I wanted to have the self-pub version of the book because, I just wanted to see what that would be like too. But this is what I got. So anyway, I'm excited to read the story. I put this book on hold at my library at the end of May, and I just received it pretty recently. So that obviously speaks to how many people want to read this book. So here we go. Let's see what happens. Here we have another book that I put on hold at the end of May and am just receiving, and that is Lucy Foley's The Paris Apartment. I want to say up front, I did not read the guest list, so this is going to be my first time reading anything by Lucy Foley. So yeah, obviously I'm going to be discovering her writing, and maybe I will read the guest list if I really like this book. But I know I shouldn't believe everything I read, but I have not heard the best things about this book. This book is about a woman named Jess who wants to escape everything that is happening in her life, so she decides to go and stay with her brother Ben for a little bit. But when she arrives to his apartment building, Ben has vanished, and the people who live in the apartment, well, Jess is starting to suspect them for having something to do with his disappearance. So she has to figure out what it was that happened. I have heard mixed things about this book. Again, going in myself, seeing what I am thinking about it. I hate to be this person, but from reading The Dust Jacket, I really hope that I am not right with what I think happened. I'm just really hoping that that's not the case. But yeah, anyway, I absolutely love this cover. I found out about this book back in March, and I almost went to Barnes and Noble to buy it the week it came out, but it was snowing at that point, and I decided not to because I had just gotten home from work and I was really tired. But I remember really wanting to read this because I really liked the summary for it. It's marketing as being a locked room mystery, which I absolutely love locked room mystery, so I was really excited. So I was like, okay, just relax. Let's get it from the library first. The next book I have here is The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager. This is another author that I have read nothing by. I have heard some good things about some of his books. This book is about a woman named Casey who goes to her family lake house to, I guess, again, escape what's going on in her life. It does mention that she is widowed. So while she's here, she starts kind of spying, I guess, or watching from afar a couple that lives in the house across the lake. It seems like they have the perfect marriage, but then one day she saves the wife from drowning and strikes up a friendship with her, and then the wife disappears and the husband's a suspect, so I guess she is going to try to figure out what happened. As soon as I read the summary of this, I was getting flashbacks to Girl on the Train. That's pretty much the same exact premise, except that in The Girl on the Train, she doesn't save anyone, so obviously there's a difference there, but I don't know. I got very similar vibes. I Was still intrigued though, so I decided to check this book out, and I'm really happy that I got it super soon with it being a new release and everything. So that's pretty awesome. It seems to be told in different perspectives as far as time is concerned. So here, like here it says now and here it says before. So that is going to be interesting. But yeah, this is probably going to be one of the first ones I read. I'm the most curious about this one, I think. When I opened the book, it wasn't even planted in like the book itself. It was just right when I opened it. It's a bookmark that the previous reader left. You may not control all the events that happen to you, but you can decide not to be reduced by them. And it is a quote by Maya Angelou. I feel like I just really needed this right now. So I thought that was really cute, and I don't know, it made me smile. So yeah, I'm really happy to have a new bookmark. I definitely can't go wrong with those. Then we have One of Us is Lying by Karen McManus. I have only recently heard of this book early in the year. I've kind of been out of the whole like what's trending as far as, books are concerned. It was only when I picked up the book at the library that I realized that this book has been out for a while. This copy has been well loved, it seems, but I did not realize that this was like not a recent release. So that was pretty interesting. This book is about 5 students who get detention one day, and only 4 students leave detention because one of them has been murdered. So the remaining 4 are obviously suspects. I just love the opening line of the dust jacket, though. Pay close attention and you might solve this. Like, yes, I am going to try to solve this. I also recently learned that this is a series on Peacock, so I'm going to read this book and watch the series afterwards, and I probably will be doing a book versus show thing. That is something that I definitely want to do on this channel, book versus movie, book versus show. So this will probably be the first time I attempt to do this on this channel. So yeah, that'll be interesting. And I plan on doing it whether or not I like this book. Even if I hate it, that's just a project that I want to take on. So yeah, we will see what I think about this book. So I apologize for my awkward hand placement. For some reason, my library decided to put a sticker on the front of the book as to which library it belongs to, which I think is kind of interesting because on every other book it's on the back. This one they chose to do the front, but whatever. See, I'm just covering up that information, so I apologize. But the last book I have here is Portrait of a Thief by Grace D. Lee. It's pretty much about a art heist. These 5 people are tasked with recovering some ancient Chinese artifacts from a museum by this mysterious person who promises to pay them $50 million. So yeah, I just heard that and I was like, that sounds really interesting. I absolutely love art. So we'll see how this book turns out. So yeah, those are all the books that I plan on reading in August. One more thing that I wanted to talk about that I think is really interesting. I don't know if every single library does this, but my library does this thing where on the book receipts, they print out the amount of money you saved by using your library. So with these 5 library books, I saved $126. And with these 5 library books, plus the 5 that I showed in my July TBR, there we go, altogether amounted to $267. So wow, that's a lot of money I saved from using my library. But yeah, so these are all the books that I plan on reading in August. I do have a book blog. I will post the link down below if you are interested in that. I am going to be posting more in-depth reviews of all the books that I read. I also am a lot more put together and am able to express myself a lot less awkwardly and disjointed, I guess. I am a writer, so I am better at that than I am at just, talking out loud. But either way, let me know down below, you guys, what you plan on reading this month, if you've read any of these books and what you thought about them. And yeah, so I hope you guys have a great day and I will see you soon.